Hi everybody, I'm Carmen Shenk, the Tiny House Foodie, and I'm the author of Kitchen Simplicity. This is the second of two videos about how going tiny led us to also embrace going zero waste as well, inspired by the book Zero Waste Home by B. Johnson. Now this is the second of two videos, so if you haven't seen the first one, make sure you catch that one as well. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. Now I mentioned that roll of paper towels that I brought home into our tiny house and then was like, oh, where do I put these? I mentioned those paper towels. What do we do now instead of paper towels? Let me show you. Washcloths. In my house, I have two stacks about this size of washcloths. As you can see, they are all kinds of different brands and sizes, colors. Well, the size is pretty consistent, but and I purchased a bulk pack of white washcloths. I think there were maybe 15 or 20 of them in the bulk pack, and then I dyed them a whole bunch of my favorite colors, which was really fun. And so because they are dyed these fun colors, they don't show the dirt that is pretty much inevitable with using a cloth instead of a paper towel. And they're wonderful. I purchased these in 2011, still going strong, still using these every single day. I even use them multiple times. Let's just say this, I use a washcloth once, put it where it can dry, it goes straight to the laundry. Now you would think that that would make a whole bunch more laundry. It actually doesn't. It actually, see, that's the fear, but it isn't actually true. Now the other thing, instead of paper towels, we use washcloths. Instead of napkins and tissues, and any other kind of disposable cloth, I'm using handkerchiefs instead. Now this is, I purchased a bulk package of gentlemen's handkerchiefs in about 2011. Now I have lost some and throw some away, and this isn't the whole collection. But I went through and dyed them my favorite colors, and they are so soft now. The edges have fared really well. I do not iron them ever. It's never going to happen. And every now and then the edge of one of them will start to fray. But for the most part, these have lasted from 2011 to 2000. We're at the tail end of 2018. So look at that. You know how many boxes of paper towels and paper napkins and tissues, you know how many packages this represents? This is huge. This is a huge money saver, people, and it's good for the environment. And this is one of the surprises that I learned from living tiny, just by getting paper towels on sale and bringing home 6 rolls of paper towels into my tiny house and then looking around like, what did I do that for? That was stupid. And so I've made the transition, instead of paper towels to washcloths, and instead of napkins and tissues, I'm using cloth. And you know what? They're actually kind of beautiful. I mean, they are now. They're super, super crazy soft, and I've used them for everything over these years. So it's really a pleasure to walk past the aisle in the grocery store where you pick up things like napkins and tissues and paper towels. It's really a pleasure, and I don't have to make room in my bathroom or in the bottom of my closet or anywhere else for those products. And that is liberating. I love it, and it's good for the environment. And you know what? After we moved out of our tiny house and moved in here to our workshop, while we're building a schoolie so we can go back tiny again, I didn't go back. We have not gone back to paper towels. We have not gone back to tissues and all of those things. You know what? They're not anywhere near as soft. They're not anywhere near as fun to use or as colorful. And making the transition that we made to go tiny, because we went tiny, and we didn't want to store things like paper towels, it was a change that we made because we went tiny, that's worth making whether you go tiny or not. So that's one of those lessons, unexpected lessons from living tiny, is that we went much more zero waste, and we've still got a long ways to go, but we're making progress. We shop at the bulk food store and store our food in glass. The safest way to store food is glass. There are some potential off-gassing problems with some kinds of plastic. There's all kinds of issues. And I didn't tell you about this. You know what? I hate these things. I hate them so much. So in our tiny house, we had a little cabinet where we kept things like this, and it was chaos, and I hated opening the door. And so I just got in the habit of avoiding it. So it existed. It was there under the sink, and stuff like this disappeared into the hole. But you know what? If you change the way you cook so that you don't have leftovers, you don't need this. And you don't need to have space in the fridge to store it either. That's really cool. And I have this because something came in the store from it. I hate it when that happens, but I did not purchase this, and I will figure out how to recycle it. It is recyclable, thank goodness. So what I'm trying to tell you is there's a number of lessons that I learned from living tiny. Number one, don't cook with leftovers in mind, and you won't need containers to store leftovers. It seems like such a no-brainer, but even when we sold our tiny house and moved in here where we're living small, I mean, this is a small space, and it's workshop slash home-ish kind of space, and we didn't go back. We still don't buy those things. We still don't buy paper towels. We still, we haven't done, I'll be honest with you, we haven't done very well with avoiding shopping bags. I have a tendency to forget to take my grocery bags with me, but we also have changed to shopping at Aldi's. So we're not actually bringing home plastic shopping bags because they don't offer them. I mean, they offer them for sale, but we're not buying them. These instead of napkins and tissues, fantastic. I love them so much. The worst thing in the world is a cheap tissue that's just really harsh. Ugh, hate that. It's not a part of my life anymore. So those are some ways that living tiny brought about change for us. And the change happened to be, even though we didn't necessarily go into living tiny for environmental reasons, the changes that we made in order to live tiny comfortably had to do with getting rid of waste, just simply not bringing it into the home. No disposable single-use plastic containers, no sodas, no, anything that comes in a single-use plastic container is not going to enter the house. Now, we do purchase vinegar by the gallon, so instead of bringing in a little bitty thing of vinegar, we bring it in by the gallon. And even that you can do in a tiny house. You can find a spot for a whole gallon of vinegar in a tiny house because it's better than having 20 bottles of cleaners, So living tiny made us much more environmentally conscious, and that's a process. We continue to try to refine that as we go along. And even though we're no longer living in that 125 square feet, that we're here instead, we're kind of shacked up in our workshop space, we haven't gone back. We have loved the changes that tiny living brought to our lives, and we have not gone back. So this has been how to embrace zero waste choices to go tiny, even if you are still living in your normal size house, because those are changes that are good for the heart and the soul and the earth, all three, all of the above. Thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I'm Carmen Shenk, the tiny house foodie, author of Kitchen Simplicity, and there is a chapter in my book about taming trash, and I'm not coming across it right off, but chapter 21. That's it. And so we've been talking about taming trash from the book Kitchen Simplicity today. Thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it.